I recently acquired these old tube TVs and I thought that they were so cool, and I planned on doing some projects with them that I had seen on Pinterest, which involved taking them apart. But when I looked up a tutorial online, I got all these warnings about why you shouldn't take them apart, and it got me wondering about which electronics are unsafe to disassemble. So this is a circuit board from a VCR. And VCRs aren't necessarily unsafe to disassemble, but there are a lot of appliances that are. And the reason why they can be unsafe to disassemble is because there can be electrical hazards, like those old tube TVs. The capacitors can hold a charge for a very long time. Some electronics, you risk chemical exposure. They have lead and mercury. There are also some mechanical risks, some fire hazards, and, a lesser problem, you might void the warranty by opening them up. So here are some you should never open. Microwaves. These you should not disassemble yourself because of potential exposure to radiation. Also these tube TVs, which I was super excited about, but now I'm not going to open them up. The capacitors can hold a charge, and also the tube can explode because it's vacuum sealed. AC units, because of the refrigerants and some electrical components, these can be dangerous to disassemble as well. And pretty much any large appliance, refrigerators are a good example. These contain complex electrical and mechanical components, washing machines. These large appliances should only be handled by professionals, so it's best not to disassemble those. Now for smaller electronics, if you do plan on disassembling them, just make sure the power is off, that it's unplugged, and that you're using the right tools and that you've read the manuals. If you need to have protective gear, make sure you do so and that you dispose of any waste properly. So I decided to take apart this old VCR. We tried fixing it first. It was eating the tapes. We did all of the troubleshooting. It wasn't worth the money to bring it to a professional to try to get it fixed, but the gears were getting stuck. So I thought, oh, this might be a fun upcycling project because I love all these old gears. So we went about taking it apart, and taking it apart was actually a lot of fun. I don't think there were any hazards or any dangers, just some risk of getting oil and grease on your fingers. I'm not sure how much of what's in here is actually valuable or what should be recycled. There's a lot of plastic parts and different things. But I just love the way these old circuit boards work. So this is what I did. I took out the circuit boards, and then there was actually a lot of metal in the VCR, so I thought, well, you know what, I'll hold on to all of the metal for the next time I decide to go scrap metal and see if it's worth anything. Probably the metal from a VCR alone is not worth that much. And then there were a bunch of plastic parts which I'm probably going to use for an art project, and several other small pieces which I'm going to have to brainstorm about how I want to upcycle them. So I'm going to scrap the metal, I'm going to keep the plastic, and I really want to learn how to cut these circuit boards and use them maybe for like jewelry or something like that. We'll see. And then I also took all of the screws out and decided to save those because those can be usable, so I put them all in this little jar. And the only issue I had was all of this grease that you'll find on here that keeps everything running properly. So if you ever decide to take apart an electronic like this, be prepared to get grease all over your hands. There were a few pieces that I took out that I'm not sure if they're valuable or not. I'm pretty sure that's copper wire, and I'm not sure about these blue wires here. So these I kind of held on to because if I can get money out of them, I will. And this is what the whole thing looks like disassembled. It was fun to take it apart, and now I'm asking myself, is it better to try to upcycle our own electronics? Like, I want to use these gears maybe for some steampunk art. I want to bring all of this metal to the scrapyard. But is it better if I just brought the whole thing to a recycling center? I know that some electronic recycling centers don't do a very good job of recycling the products. They actually just ship it all abroad, but there's a really great company in my hometown. They've got a great reputation. They actually care about the environment, and I think it's probably not worth the work for me to do all of this on my own. I think I probably would have been better off just bringing it to them, especially after I started experimenting with cutting the actual circuit board. I had some wire snippers and I cut out all of these little individual, are they all called capacitors? I'm not sure, but I took them out. I thought they might be fun to make little earrings or something interesting. And then I tried cutting the actual circuit board using a Dremel tool. I wore protective gear and everything, and I made myself a little pair of earrings. Aren't they cute? Here's the problem. In the process of cutting and making those earrings, I got plastic dust everywhere, and I'm like, this has got to be an environmental hazard. I think it probably would have been better if I just took the whole thing to the electronic recycling center. So this is the one I go to in my hometown, Complete Electronics Recycling. So if you're thinking about doing the same thing, I highly recommend just recycling the electronics instead of trying to upcycle them yourself. And of course, make sure you thoroughly research any electronic to make sure that it's actually safe to take apart. Did I miss any? Are there any others that shouldn't be disassembled? Feel free to mention them in the comments section, and thanks for watching.